Howdy folks, Nathan here with the Fast Lane Car, and this is the 2019 Toyota Prius all-wheel drive E. It's a surprisingly good car, but there are a few detractors, and coming up in this video, we're going to tell you all about it. Styling. Yeah, they made some changes. Now, if you look at the front end, you can really see it, and that's because the headlights especially have been changed. They no longer have that unusual little side thing going on here, and they're LED. Now, on top of that, you also have a slightly revised nose section. Follow me and you'll see something else. Check this out. Now, if you have a keen sense of proportion, you can tell that it's a little tiny bit higher than the regular Prius, and that's because it's 0.2 inches higher than the regular Prius, so altogether 5.3 inches of ground clearance. And then back here, they've revised the rear end as well. LED taillights, slightly different styling. This is a special Prius. I'll get to that in a second. First of all, it has a 1.8 liter four-cylinder engine. Now, combined horsepower, 121. That's with the electric motors. That's right, motors, because there's two of them. One feeding the front and one feeding the rear wheels. That's right. Now, it also has an eCVT transmission. Combined gas mileage numbers are 50. That's right, 50 mpg. But the real story is about the all-wheel drive system. This is where everything changes. It's unique amongst Prius, and that's because it's all-wheel drive. It's a special all-wheel drive system. There's an electric motor here. It's 7 horsepower. Now, what it will do is it'll be active up to 6 miles per hour to get you out of a sticky situation, and then up to 43 miles per hour in case you have any issues as you're driving down the road. This is not an off-roader, not at all. It's an all-wheel drive vehicle, and it is one of the most efficient all-wheel drive vehicles in its class. And on top of that, it's one of the few, as far as I know, that is a hybrid. Now, what they did in order to make this vehicle work in cold weather is they used nickel metal hydride batteries as opposed to lithium ion. Now that adds altogether with the electric motors about 150 pounds, but the trade-off is you still get 50 miles per gallon combined, which is pretty impressive. Now the system simply works by having the electric motor engage when needed. There's no linkage. There are no drive shafts leading it to the front. It just works on its own, autonomously. I was really hoping that the all-wheel drive system would give this car oomph off the line, but it really doesn't do that. According to Toyota, 0 to 60 times are over 10 seconds. Now for a regular hybrid, that's not so bad, but check this out. Hold on, guys. Yeah, not a whole lot of nada going on, but the good news is if this were a sandy area or a snowy area, it would still pick up its skirt and take off because the all-wheel drive system is very active. It does it all, and by the way, without you pushing any buttons. One of the things that's awesome about a Prius is the fact that they're hatchbacks, right? And this one is no exception. As a matter of fact, you have up to 65.5 cubic feet of cargo space when you fold down the rear seats, and they fold very flat. Now that is the same size, if not larger, than certain small crossovers out there. And the cool part about it is that this vehicle doesn't have space encumbered by batteries. Now what about space? This is another plus for the Prius, because headroom is monstrous. Look, even if I had 2 of Roman's wigs on, I'd still have plenty of headroom. Lots of space. Legroom is quite good. I have good command of everything around me. Even though I'm not exactly thrilled about the location of where the speedometer is, I've gotten used to it. And you know what? The materials that they used inside this vehicle are fairly comfortable. But what about the back? Let's have a look. Alrighty, now I'm around 6'1". Seats back as far as I need it up front. And I have very good leg room, but headroom, well, it tapers back a little bit, so my head is brushing against the roof. The reason why is because it's sort of a teardrop shape. That's for aerodynamics, but at least the legroom is pretty decent. Let's talk about tech a little bit, because Honestly, that's one of the things that disappointed me a little bit about the Prius, and that's because it has the Toyota Safety Sense P. Now, basically, that's the older system, and that comes with this. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't have Toyota's newest Safety Sense 2.0, which has even more safety features. Well, the same continues inside. Amongst my issue with this Prius is the fact that this has the older Intune system, which has a 6.1-inch screen, which is just too small. It doesn't come standard with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. There are other minor issues, when you're looking at the overall layout as well. Because of the size of the screen, this whole area here, frankly, doesn't look that good to me. They used a lot of black this year. Everywhere. There's piano black, which is awesome if you love leaving fingerprints. It's just, boop, it's right there. Now, unfortunately, that is, to me, a bit of a detractor. But the rest of the interior is very comfortable. I actually really like the steering wheel as well in terms of the materials they used on it. Nice leather. But this really does stand out, and this is something that I'm hoping that they'll revise for next year. Now, you can get the advanced technology package, which is what this car has, and that gives you, among other things, heads-up display, which is great, and adaptive headlights. That helps. One cool thing that this car comes standard with is the Qi charging pad, and that works quite well even on my phone, which has a case on it. Plus, Toyota has added extra USB ports for 2019. I want you to observe something. This is my final complaint. I'm in reverse. Hear that? It's telling me that I'm in reverse. It's really telling me that I'm in reverse. It's so unnecessary. A little beep, a chime or something like that once or twice telling me, hey, by the way, you went into reverse, that makes total sense. Otherwise, it's obnoxious, and frankly, it's almost loud enough to drown out the beeping from people behind you who are saying, no, please don't hit my car. Toyota, once again, has used their TNGA platform for the Prius, and one of the benefits of that is a super smooth ride. The ride characteristics in this Prius are some of the best I've sampled in any Prius I've driven. Very smooth on the highway. Don't take this the wrong way, but this would make an ultimate Uber car or a Lyft car, especially in places that have crappy weather, like Denver, or the East Coast, or Canada, or Alaska, or Hawaii, Vermont, New England. Anyway, the point is that this car has a nice ride. There is a little bit of sound that comes through, and part of the reason why is because of the tires. They're low rolling resistance, and they're kind of sort of loud. But other than the tires, this car is fairly quiet, and because it's a hybrid, it doesn't really have much of an exhaust note. Now, if I shove my foot down, there's the engine. You can actually hear it kick in a little bit, but it's not that throaty. What about the all-wheel drive system? Well, it's not on this car for high performance. That's a different type of car you're looking for, folks. This car is built to get you out of trouble. That's really the entire purpose of the all-wheel drive system. Now, recently I was in a car wash, one of those automated ones, and I had an opportunity to sample the all-wheel drive system because I was impatient. The light turned green, it was all done, and you have to go up and over a bump, and the front wheels were losing traction, and immediately the rear end kicked in and pushed me up and over the obstacle. It is very subtle. It's not as if it's suddenly a clutch that kicks in, or the transmission is kicked in, or a locker is kicked in. No. It just goes. And that's because there's an electric motor back there that's not hooked up to anything, and it simply just does exactly what it's supposed to do when you're struggling to move. A huge positive is the fact that this car is very affordable. You can get a regular Prius for around $23,000. You can go up to about $26,000 if you want the all-wheel drive E. This car, as it sits, fully loaded or nearly fully loaded, comes in at just around $32,000. And when you think about it, with all-wheel drive and a hybrid system, that's pretty impressive. So what do you think, guys? I mean, okay, there is some old tech in this car, but for the most part, you get an awful lot for the money. You get an all-wheel drive hybrid. There's nothing else that competes with this vehicle for this price. That's impressive. And you know what else is? The fact is, this car is super, super efficient. Thanks for joining me for the Fast Lane Car. This is Nathan. Don't forget to go to TFLcar.com for news, views, real-world reviews, and more Prius fun.